I hate the word skyscraper. It sounds so mean. He tells me he was never sad. Cold, maybe, and tired, and broke. Too broke to buy the textbooks, or fix the stovetop, or the shutters that banged against the kettle when the wind blew against the kettle on the stovetop, or treat the measles. Too poor to buy a car. Too tired to ride the bike. But he had to ride the bike to get to the library, to borrow the textbooks, to light the fire, to get the degree, to light the fire, to boil the water, uphill, both ways in the snow. He studied physics. Everybody studied physics. This was before the invention of poetry on that side of the river. He tells me it is good to fill a room with what you own and be able to see it all without turning your head. He tells me in those days he siphoned gasoline with his mouth, with his blue lips and yellow teeth and white tongue with his mouth, with his cheeks strained, translucent, and veined for his buddy's car with his mouth all the time, to light the fire, to boil the water, to sweat out the measles. This was before the invention of internet articles that explain how to safely siphon gasoline. This was between the invention of safety and the invention of mouths on that side of the river. Even young and spotted, even small and lean, he loved the smell of gasoline. He loved the word skyscraper. He thought of a tongue depressor 100 stories tall say, ah. He thought of a big flat popsicle stick 200 stories tall say, ah. He thought of hot days, hot days, and a popsicle that is easy. Sweet fruit without the cracking of pomegranate rind, without the popping out of seeds. These sound sick and manual, like resetting a bone. No, this was instant. A dripping popsicle and its stick, 300 stories tall, say ah, and scrape away the white stuff. Scrape away the white stuff, say ah, scrape away the clouds. I hate the word skyscraper. It sounds so. I hate the weeks. I only like the weekends. I tell him that I am not sad. That I am not sad, just that when I am somewhere, I want to be somewhere else. Just that no matter where I am, as soon as I get there, I want to be going somewhere else. He tells me it must be a privilege to have the time to pay attention. He tells me that maybe he has been sad after all, but that he has been using a different word for it. Mathless, milkless, on that side of the river. He tells me that in the coldest months, his grandmother would walk to the barn and find the whitest, milkless cow and slit its throat near the river. Then she would dig a trench in the snow and bury the slight white milkless cow and count 2 weeks in chalk on the wall and come back down to the river. There she would dig up the cow and take a sharpened knife to the hide and slice one frozen sheet of meat and rebury the cow near the river. He tells me that in the coldest months he had beef popsicles to eat, and if he ever wanted more, he would call to Baba the river, to cut away the fat, to scrape away the white stuff. No, this was instant. The kettle red and screaming. This was before the invention of wanting on that side of the river. They dragged the cows down and carved numbers on their hooves. They boiled the fat down and carved symbols onto the candles, onto the soap and the candles on that side of the river. A baby on each hip. A son or daughter wearing a rabbit fur hat on each hip. Each hip the body's knife. Each hip a rescue flare. Each hip the body's knife. They burned the barns down and wrote equations in the ashes. They scraped the sky clean and wrote equations in the blue. I tell him I want to go there, to fill the room with pomegranate seeds, to light the fire, to watch the steam rise, to write poetry on the window with my finger, cold and reaching, a skyscraper, my finger. Write it backwards so he can read it, or in symbols. I want to go there and eat, and then wait to get hungry.